Thomas, we've been looking forward to having you on. I was able this week to read your book. I finished it last night, and it's an incredible book because I think the reaction, Thomas, and tell me if I'm wrong from other people who share this with you, but the reaction of many of us as we read the book is we say, my goodness, I worked with so-and-so. My goodness, I was in a relationship with so-and-so. And they fit to a T the psychopathic behavior. Have you had that reaction from people?
Yes. First, thank you for your very kind words about the book. That's the reason I wrote it.
Thomas, years ago I had a relative that lived in Oakland, California, in a palatial home. When she married a gentleman back in the 1950s, their wealth allowed them to travel around the world for a year, sending things back to their home in Oakland. I'm saying this story because at the end of her life, she was befriended by an alleged caring neighbor who got her to agree to sell her property to this neighbor for $40,000. The property was worth 10 times to 20 times that. Now,
that's a very common story, yeah. That's a very common story.
I state this story because there's a real danger that you open my eyes to care of the elderly. Psychopaths as being predatory hominoids, non-human in nature, they will prey upon the elderly. Give us a scenario for how they might do this.
You're living, a psychopath moves into your neighborhood. They're doing the usual psychopath things. They're not paying their rent. They notice an old person down the road, an old guy, and say it's a psychopathic woman or even a psychopathic man. Say a psychopathic man notices an old guy down the road, lives in a nice house, doesn't seem to have any relatives visiting, doesn't seem to have anyone coming over to visit him, except maybe the odd, the social services nurse now and again. So he goes over there and he'll say things, start making small talk. And then he said, I see some of the slates on your roof are hanging off. You should get them fixed before winter comes in. And the next day, the slating company is out there fixing the roof. And the old guy thinks, wow, what Jimmy down the road did was really sweet. He actually fixed my roof for me, and I could have easily paid for it. And then the psychopath knows that the old guy has money. So then the psychopath will start making really good friends with them, hanging out and taking them places, doing things. And then something will happen, and they'll say, I need a place to live, something happened here, blah. He make a sob story that his landlord is a crazy person, and he has no money, he's lost a job. And the old guy will say, actually, you can stay with me. It'll great fun. We can have a few beers every night and watch the game and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So the psychopath moves in with the old guy, and it's great for the first few weeks. He's taking them to, they're watching the baseball or the soccer on TV, having a few beers. The old guy, for the first time in years, has someone who's makes him feel young again, makes him feel cared about. And then it starts to change. He'll start saying things like, you don't really have anyone to take care of you. The best way to do that would be to make me sign your house and your will. Now, it won't happen that quickly. It'll happen in stages. But what they'll do is they'll start making the elderly person insecure. They'll do things like saying, I'm going out with my girlfriend for the night. And the old guy will say, I'll see you. And the old guy will hear the door closing. But the psychopath will be still in the basement or in the attic, and he'll start moving things around. And the poor old guy or lady will be terrified. And when the quote-unquote return happens, when the psychopath pretends to come back, the old person will tell him the stories and say, I think the house is haunted. And the psychopath will say, you're right, I think it's haunted too. I didn't want to say anything to you, but I saw something strange. He goes, I tell you what, it's best that you don't live here anymore. If you sign your savings over to me, we'll find you a really nice retirement home somewhere, get you where you'll be with other people, and I can visit you there because I've got. And then what happens? He just takes the money or the property and leaves, and the old guy is just completely destroyed. Because he's lost not only his dignity through money, but he's also lost someone he thought was a friend or even a surrogate son or daughter. It's really evil and horrible.
A psychopath will reinvent history. They will remind you about an earlier event, and as they're saying this, you're going, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I don't remember that didn't happen. They didn't say that. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
They'll make up. So these are, while all actors and actresses are not psychopaths, all psychopaths are really good actors.
Absolutely. They should be winning Oscars and Tonys every day of their lives. They're incredible.
It's a facade, though. Behind that is the cunning, is the predatory nature. And if they've selected you as a target, you're not the only one, because they're going to use you as long as they can. They're already grooming other targets.
Oh, yeah. It's very common for a woman to marry a psychopathic male, and he'll be having sex with a woman within days of the marriage that he met before, because he's now got her, he now owns her, and he doesn't need to have that thrill of the thrill of the kill, the hunt. It's done. It's taken care of. It's over with. And this is what makes them so different than us. Even when they're predatory, their predatory machinations are not even driven almost by the same things that a normal thief or swindler or con artist is driven by. It's not just about money. It's also about the power play and pulling it off, and the tremendous rush they get from that scam having worked out for them. And when somebody has been devastated by a psychopath, this is one of the reasons you don't look up their photographs online or anything like that after they've left you, if you've been in a relationship one, because all you'll find is pictures of them smiling and smirking and having a great time as if you never existed. And this is because they've crafted a new personality. And they may have walked out on you and your kids, and this woman is now alone with her children after the psychopath has walked out on them, and she's devastated, and he's like, she'll stumble upon his Facebook page, and there he is out with his buddies that night, as if without a care in the world. They literally have this is what makes them so different. They literally have no ability to perceive the concept of conscience and of kind of a moral responsibility to other human beings. It's just a game to them.
Thomas, my last question for you, and I am very, very grateful for having had the opportunity to read your book and to also have you on the program. Thank you, sir, in advance for that. My last question for you is that is there something about the predatory nature of the psychopath that you would classify as being just plain and simple evil?
Yes. Well, firstly, thank you for having me on the show, Scotty. I really enjoyed it, too. Yes, I have no problem using the term evil. I'm not bothered by it. I know it's not a very scientific term, but I don't care. If you read these papers by these guys, these professors who've studied the psychopaths up close, you can actually see they're biting their tongues. They want to scream demon. They want to scream evil. They want to put this down, but they can't, because they wouldn't be taken seriously by mainstream science. But the fact is that this is a predatory consciousness that is evil, that exists for no other function, that's inside a human being, and this is what they are. They are evil. And if that's not a scientific term, I don't care, because it's the truth. And that's literally what we're dealing with. And it's an evil like we've never encountered. It's pure. It's a pure and absolute evil. It's cold. It's calculating. It's dead. It's dead inside. It's one-dimensional in that it moves forward through life with its jaws open, and it just eats anything that comes into its path. And it's all, at the end of the day, it's just business.
A parasite.
A parasite, like a tapeworm. If someone asked me recently on another radio interview, what would be the nearest animal you could compare it to? And a tapeworm, it gets inside your system, and it starves you while it feeds on what you're supposed to be nourished by.